feel you're on the wrong career path, but I don't know where to send you. I'm more trauma. I'll hold my hands up.
Am I losing my mind? Like, what is, like, I would be laying in bed. It would be the middle of the day and I'd be resting.
Who are you? And I think that's the thing that people don't realize with our, because we're connected with our children as well. Whereas I had to hide it for so long. Like I pretended to be Christian for so long.
Special guest, we share the flame. Through every word we claim our name.
Hey sparklers, how are we doing? Hope you're all doing good today. So, as you know, if you don't know, I'm Empress Sparkle. I am a witch, clairvoyant, and soul seer, and as well as Hellenic pagan. Today I have with me a lovely guest, all the way from Canada, technically, and that is Bonnie. Bonnie, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Hi, I'm Bonnie Firth. I live in Ontario, Canada. I'm an intuitive reader, a Reiki master, and I'm also I guess you could say, a soul coach. I also offer people guidance because my background was in human resources. I offer people guidance on their career and next steps in leadership coaching.
Oh,
So it's a
wow.
little bit about me.
See now. That's added something that I didn't obviously know about. So, because for me, I believe souls are here for a purpose. So the fact you've gone from HR, which often our jobs are linked to our soul's purpose here,
Yes.
is amazing. Do you find that a lot as well? Do you find that?
I do. I do. When I'm, for example, I have people will come to me for a reading or for actually they'll to me for guidance on their career or leadership. And oftentimes I will find, I'm like, why are you in this career? It doesn't fit with your purpose. And they're like, well, how do you know what my purpose is? Well, just by your energy, and maybe they need an energy realignment. Most times they do. I can pick out like you shouldn't be in this type of career. You should be moving into this type of career because I feel like your purpose is to drive, XYZ or drive business to this, or maybe, they're working in a service industry, but really they should be more into service of career of healthcare.
Yes.
Or maybe it's service in nutrition, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's what I find. They've found their way into a career that's similar to what they should be doing, but it's not quite right. So they're not happy. I find people that are not in the career that their soul don't want them to be. They do need realigning because they're not happy. Their chakras are all messed up because they're not happy. Their soul's messed up because they're not happy. And I find actually getting people into the career that they should be in, which that could be something as simple. I could use myself actually as an example of this. I was an administrator for nearly 20 years. Um, Loved the chatting part of the job, loved it. Loved the when, because I mainly was in the health sector. So when people were coming in, I loved dealing with people. I loved helping them. And it was like all of a sudden, as my soul, I was cleansing my soul and getting more cleansed, I went, this isn't where I should be. And that's where Empress Sparkle come from. So I think I love that because so many people are stuck and they don't know why. And this is why. Um, I, I love,
Exactly. I actually did a reading for a CEO, and she came to me and she said, I don't know what to do. I'm not happy. I've been a CEO of this company. I've been an executive of this company. I think I'd like to move up to, a higher level, or, I'm like, what do you want to get out of it? I already knew, but I needed her to tell me so that she understood. She said, well, I really want to help this company, but and more importantly, I really want to help people. And she happened to be in, an industry that was in manufacturing. And I'm like, well, what do you what are you the CEO of? What, like, I don't want to ask her what her company is, but, oh, we met, I'm in car manufacturing, but, I'm like, and so I said to her, I said, Jennifer, I'm just going to use this name. I said, what drew you to this? She goes, well, it was really the power and the money. She said, but I don't feel good about it anymore. I said, well, okay, you've made a lot of money. You've had this power. I said, what are you doing with this power? She goes, well, I just can't get these leaders to see that they should go in this different direction because if they did this, X, Y, Z, it would be, beneficial to the environment, it would be beneficial to this, beneficial to that, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. I said, okay. I said, well, companies like that are in it for the money and the power of themselves. I said, you've wielded this power as long as you can. I said, where else would you want to take your power? And she's like, well, I don't know. And I said, what did you go to school for? She said, I actually went to school for science. And I said, you went to school for science? Yeah, yeah, I've got a master's in, biology and stuff like that. I said, so do you think maybe car manufacturing might not be for you anymore? Maybe you need to shift into, for example, like healthcare. I
Yeah.
said, you know, maybe what you could do is help people by being a CEO of a hospital or the CEO of a major clinic. And a light bulb went off. She looked at me like, I said, just think about it for a minute and imagine. Because I'm seeing now, because sometimes I see auras sometimes, and I could see like her aura came and it was kind of like, it was like a little bit of grayish, greenish, and she
Yeah.
needed to heal something in her heart. So
Yeah.
in speaking to her, just to make the story shorter, she said, okay. She goes, I actually was thinking about that because, there is a hospital nearby that I was thinking about applying to. I just don't know if I have the skill set. I said, well, I happen to be a career and leadership development coach. If you need some help with that, we can take this to another level and work with that. So she did. So she did end up moving into healthcare.
See, I love this because I hold my hands up. This is something that, even though we were talking before and we were like, oh, we're quite similar in what we do, I love this for me. And I will admit this because for me, even though I can feel that, I wouldn't know where to guide them. So, and this is one of the things that I find the hardest because you'll find someone that'll say to me, I want to be, I don't know, a PA, but they don't actually understand the root of what a PA is. Or you'll hear someone say to me, I want to be a graphic designer, and I'll be like, well, what part of graphics design do you want to be in? But because I don't even understand 100% the different areas of graphic design, like there's about 150 different areas that you can actually go into, isn't there? So it's like I'm like, well, hold on, we need to figure out which actually you want to be, because some people might think they want to be a PA because they like the organization, they like the being, I don't mean really, but in control or stuff like that. But actually, when they get into the job, they find it's boring tasks like making cups of tea or, making sure that the guests are happy more than what it is actually keeping people organized, keeping people on track and stuff like that. So they should have actually gone more into, I've got a clerk, which is that is more the person, a secretary role. That is more actually keeping the person's books right, keeping all that sort of thing. So for me, it's sort of like, I think as well, why I'm loving this so much is because you understand them roles, which, guys, this is why I say you've got to find the healer for you. Because if you're coming to me and you're coming career, I won't have a clue where to send you. I'll be like, look, I can feel you're on the wrong career path, but I don't know where to send you. I'm more trauma. I'll hold my hands up. I'm more about healing trauma. So that is amazing. That, yeah, I love that. So do you use your cards as well with guiding them with that?
Sometimes I do. Um, Funny thing, over the summer, I was struggling a little bit with feeling connected. Let's say we go through periods of that where we're like, feel connected. And then all of a sudden, I was tired. I was sleeping a lot. I was having weird dreams that I couldn't piece together or having those dreamscapes, you lay
Yeah.
down in the middle of the afternoon because you're tired and then you have all these things going through your head. And then one day I woke up and I thought, I'm going to consult with a few of the other um, colleagues that I have. And one in particular said, she goes, Bonnie, you're going through an upgrade. It's like your computer system's upgrading. I'm like, oh, because I mean, I was reading for people, but I didn't feel connected. I would, because I'm intuitive, I would pick things up, but then I would get different, weird, strange messages and different languages, even.
Yes, I've spoke about this before and it's
Yeah,
really weird. There must have been something about the end of summer because I went through exactly the same thing at the end of summer. And I was doing readings for people that I've done readings for years for. And I was going, why do I feel that? It doesn't quite feel right. Who's that talking to me? Why am I getting a vision that doesn't even include them? And I was like, what is going on? It was a real end of summer was real trippy for a lot of us, to be honest.
it was.
It
But
was,
the crazy thing is that I was told I was attending a psychic fair because I do readings there. And this is during the time where I was having this, like, what the heck is wrong with me? Before I went there, I heard wear the amulet. I'm like, amulet? Like, what are we in Indiana Jones here? What's going on? What it meant was to wear my pendulum around my neck. So I did. And I think when I asked my colleague about this, she goes, sometimes spirit comes through in different ways. Um, she says, you need some sort of protection and realignment of yourself. She goes, especially if you're doing, energy realignment on yourself, you need that protection. Sometimes it's from a crystal, sometimes it's from, I don't know, picking up a deck of cards, sometimes it could be whatever. But I was told that, and I'm like, "Where's the amulet?" And I was sat there and I scratched my head, and I looked at my pendulum. That's what I'm. So I put that on. That actually got me through the fair, but the way I read changed.
yes.
So it wasn't just mediumship. It wasn't just intuitive reading. It wasn't just energy realignment. It was everything all together. So I had to repackage everything I was doing to explain this to people. And they're like, oh,
And I find as well, what I find is as we do advance, it's very difficult to explain to people. I don't mean this really, but it is because sometimes I don't mean this really, and I don't know whether you find this funny, we question our own sanity.
we
We
do.
we we question our own sanity. Like at the minute, I have got spirits. You most probably can see them around me. I've got about 20 spirits around me at the minute. I don't know why because they're giving me mixed messages. So I know I need a meditation session. They just appeared this morning. Don't know where from, don't know why. And it's like, and I know this means that I'm going through, I can feel it. I didn't sleep last night. I had 4 hours sleep. So I'm going through another one of these periods. So it's going to be one of these periods where, which to be honest, I think it has something to do with the fact I'm going to the most haunted house in the UK next week. So if promise, just because I'm not scared of you does not mean anything. You've got the power anymore to hurt anyone. Feel you in here.
Jasmine?
How come you're following Jasmine? I think it's sort of like they're trying to get me ready to be protected. I think
Mhm.
they're sort of like doing that. And this is the thing. We sit there and it's like, I feel like I've got a school hall going off in my ears. Like it's so loud. And I'll sit here and it's got so loud. Usually I can talk to them with my inner voice, but it's actually got to the point where I'm like, will you just leave me alone? Shut up. And my husband and my kids will look at me and I'm like, am I actually okay? Am I insane? Am I hearing these voices?
I've
Like,
had that too. I swear I have.
and it does it.
I'd be sitting quietly, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what?
Just leave me alone for
I just
five
want to watch
minutes.
a movie.
Yeah.
Or when I go to bed at night, God forbid you have a glass of wine with your girlfriends and then go to bed and then you get all settled. You're just about to fall asleep, and all of a sudden I feel a hovering over me. I'm like,
Or
or
they
I'll feel some,
appear.
hmm?
Do you have them appear? So when you close your eyes, do you have all the faces appear?
Yep, I do.
Oh, it
You
drives me.
know what you know what the crazy thing is? The visions actually started. I'll tell you a story about myself. So in 2020, this is during COVID. I got sick the previous year, just a little bit. I had a pretty tough immune system. Um, and a few of the people that I was with at the time got really sick, but I didn't. I kind of just, whatever. However, the following year,
Do not tell me COVID took you down because I'm exactly the
no, it
same.
didn't take me
Oh,
down.
okay.
What happened was I ended up getting this really terrible headache. My partner and I had broke up at the time, and it was hard. I was really devastated. But I got over it. I ended up getting this really bad headache for about 5, 6 weeks. And then I went blind in the eye. It wasn't immediate. It was like it started out by, I'm like, what is that? I went to the optometrist. They're okay. Yeah, it's optic neuritis. They don't know why it happened. I had all these tests. Anyway, as a result of that, during that time while I was taking the medication to try to get rid of this, that's when I started having more like big visions, broad visions. I thought, oh, I lost one eye to gain the insight of another.
And sometimes that's what happens. That's why I asked about COVID because I was a bit like, so I actually, I'm the same. Nothing can take me down. I literally, Um, I had gallstones and literally I coped with it. Like I was never hospitalized with it until I had liver failure. So I'm that sort of my immune system's that good, my body's that good with pain, etc. And then I got COVID and like I went so downhill, I was actually hospitalized with it. And I remember my husband, he's never seen me that ill. He was like panicking, he was like begging the nurses on the phone. And I can remember being out cold, him begging the nurses on the phone, like, is she okay? Is she going to be okay? And they're like, we're putting as much oxygen as we can in her. I had the tubes in and the mask over. I was fortunate enough not to have to go onto incubator. Um, and it was really weird. It's like during COVID, we all had to have an experience. It's like someone wanted us to all have an experience. And it's like everyone I speak to spiritually, it was like this massive, I can't even explain it. I've always had visions, but they did come stronger after, like, and seeing spirits came stronger after as well. And especially feeling them, like, because some of them like to hide from us.
Oh
Let's be
yeah.
honest, they like to hide from us. And like, but I can feel their energy, so they can't hide from me. So I can feel they're here. I might not be able to see them, but I can feel them. And I'm like, hmm. And it's so weird how so many of us during COVID had that during them three
I
years.
know. I didn't know of anybody else that had that. And I thought, am I losing my mind? Like, what is, like, I would be laying in bed, it would be the middle of the day and I'd be resting. And I'd see images, faces as soon as I closed my eye, but I'd open them and but I felt something there. And I started smelling.
Yeah.
Like I would get a scent of a perfume I'd never smelled before.
and it makes you feel, as you say, it makes you feel insane. You sat there and it's like, I say to hubby when I'm having these moments where they won't leave me alone and I'm trying to sleep and I've got all these auras coming in of green shaped faces or black faces or pink shaped faces, and I've got all these faces coming into me and I'm like, just let me sleep, please, I need to sleep. And I sit there like that. And hubby says to me, I remember when we were younger, before he realized how strong my gift was and what it was. I remember going, you need to get checked for schizophrenia. And I actually did go and get checked for schizophrenia. And they were like, you ain't got schizophrenia. And I was like, well, what is this? And they were like, it's your imagination. Obviously, doctors straight away go to
Of
things like
course.
it's your imagination and stuff. You've got, what is it? So I'm diagnosed with ADD. So basically, it's a hyperactive imagination, is what they always called it. And I'm like, no, because they know stuff about me that no one else does. Like, and then they're like, well, that's your subconscious. And I was like, no, because they're telling me that I've got to tell my husband to be careful of certain things.
Yes.
And when I tell him, they're right.
Yes.
And it's like stuff that he's not told me, they'll come and tell me. Like he had a nervous breakdown last year, and his dad come to me a couple of days beforehand and went, you need to keep an eye on Amp. And I went, why? And he went, just keep an eye on him. And literally 3 days later, he was in a really bad situation. And I was just like, this can't be insane. How would I
It's
know that?
it's not. It's not. It is amazing. My son was looking for another job. Okay. He was working and he says, he said, I just want out of there. I want to make more money. I said, okay. I said, well, start looking where you want to go. Again, I had one of those little dreamscapes where I heard things. And it was the weirdest, strangest thing. I heard Jake take the day off. My son's name's Jake. Uh, day off, hungry bins, older woman. And I was like, so I wrote it down. I'm like, well, doesn't he 2 months later get a job in an organization, a factory where he's a machine operator. So he's got to operate, different machinery,
Yeah.
but it spits out all of these parts, these plumbing parts into these big bins.
Oh, bloody
And
hell.
an older woman trained him.
Yeah. See, and it's like they try to reassure us, and they are cryptic.
Yes.
And I get told off because during some of my readings, I can get a bit cryptic. And sometimes, even afterwards, people say, can you explain that to me? And I'm like, hold on 2 seconds. I've got to try and figure out how to explain that myself, how it relate to your life. Because obviously, sometimes in readings, I don't remember what I've said. So it's sort of like, I have to then speak to the spirit guides and go, look, what was actually meant by that? What was meant by that? And they'll come in and they're sort of like explain to me what was meant by it. And I think this is one of the things that people don't, we even struggle with, is their crypticness when they're coming through. And I think that's what makes it even more sound crazy in some ways. Sorry, I love this conversation because I've not met anyone that's
No, I get it. I understand. It's just so funny. When that happened, I thought, because I heard his name, I thought, okay, something good's coming in for you. And I told him this. I said, stop worrying. He said, oh, mom, I got to take the day off. I said, just take the day off work. And then it went ding. And I was like, I think you're going to get this job. He goes, oh, I don't know. I said, you're going to get this job. I just know it. And he got it. A year later, because I wrote it down in my phone in the notes, I showed it to him. I said, look at this. He goes, oh my God. I said, I told you things, because he's always says to me, he goes, you know things, but he's a lot like me. He's
yeah,
just not as developed yet. And I told him, I said, you've got this gift like I do. I said, so just, you know, I said, if you hear or you get messages, I said, write them down. I said, because they may not make sense then.
but they will in the future.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things sometimes as well, not just in the future. Like I will meditate and weirdly enough, my daughter the other day, she was on a live and she's got the same, she's on, both my daughters are gifted. Two of my daughters are gifted. One, we're not sure if she is or isn't, is the way I'm going to word it. And she was on a live and she was saying about what her mum does and stuff on TikTok. And the people were a bit like, sort of tripped out. And all of a sudden, she said to one of the ladies about her nana, and everything was correct. She come out with it all, told her everything. I did tell her off for doing it for free, and I will admit that. Because even though our gifts are here for a reason and they're to be gifted to other people, they kill us. I don't mean that
Yeah.
rudely. They drain us. That's how I know half of them on TikTok that sit there for 6 hours are fake.
Yeah.
Um, so it's sort of like every day I'm talking about, they sit there literally 6 hours every day. And this is one of the things that I said to my daughter. I was like, right, okay. I says, well, what was said, and she was describing to me, and I says, she started describing the nana, and I says, a lady. I says, top of the hair permed, bottom of the hair really wispy out there. I says, I don't mean it rudely, and this is actually what I said. I says, looks a bit like Balthazar the witch from Conjuring. And she went, yeah. She went, how do you know? And I went, well, while you were doing that, I was meditating on the bath and the bitch came to me. And she just sat there laughing. And I was like, it's not funny. She petrified me because she did look like Balthazar the witch. I was like, I'm sat there chilling in the bath in my safe place. I was like, whoa, who are you? And I think that's the thing that people don't realize with our, because we're connected with our children as well,
Oh, absolutely.
the spiritual level. So her doing this reading caused the spirit to actually, because she can't actually see them, so she's more intuitive, caused it to come to me because I can see them and I've got this, and it's just, yeah. Oh, honestly, I sit there now and I've just realized the way I've told that story and I'm like, but I think this is one of the things I'm going to actually ask because I think there'd be a lot of people now questioning, most probably in the comments, about the fact of it being hereditary and that. So, did you get your gift from was it recognized from your parents or?
Well, this is the funny thing. See, I think my mother had a little bit of intuition, but because she was religious, she didn't believe in that.
Yeah.
My dad, however, was not religious. For her sake, he tried to, but I'm almost certain, and he never admitted it, he was very spiritual. Because I remember as a child, he used
I
to
got
play,
goosebumps.
I know, he used to play games with me. All right. So we'd be at home. He said, go upstairs to your bedroom. I'm going to go in the basement. He says, I'm going to think of something and you tell me. I'm like, all right. He says, then I'll yell for you to come. We'll meet in the kitchen. So he would do things like that. He would say to me, okay, what am I thinking? He asked me like, give me a number, give me a color, give me a shape, something like that. And I go down in the kitchen and I tell him and he'd start laughing. And I'm like, I didn't understand then what he was doing,
But
right?
I love that because not a lot of people have supportive parents, especially because back in the day the religion was massive.
Oh my God,
So it
yes.
was like, even now, when I try and get us through a spirit, and especially if they're Jehovah's Witness or Islam, it's like they just stop me dead. They're like, yeah, we're not coming through. Um, so I love that because a lot of parents aren't supportive. There's a lot of parents out there that aren't supportive of people's gifts.
You're right, they're not. And I actually, like, my dad has passed away since then, but I actually think my dad was one of my spirit guides or like a guardian angel. Um,
Every time you mention your dad, I get chills. I don't know why. It's like, oh, good chills, by the way.
they're good chills. No.
Yeah.
I There were times in my life where, like, especially when I was sick with this illness, and I thought, I don't know what I just heard him say, just pay attention, pay attention. I hear it in my ear, out of the blue, pay attention. Now pay attention, pay attention. And I'm like, that's something he always said to me when he wanted me to really like
Yeah,
where if I was doing schoolwork or something like that, pay attention. And I said to him one day, I said, what do I need to pay attention to? What is it? What is it? Because I'm frantic. I'm lying there. I'm popped up on all this medication. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm, because I had to go for all this different treatment and stuff to the hospital. He said, just wait, pay attention. Okay. So I would lay there in bed and I just wait for him to tell me something and he wouldn't. I'd get really frustrated, but then I would doze off and get all these different downloads,
yeah,
visions, messages, um, just odd random things. So I started recording them. And then lo and behold, I was like, oh, he wants me to pay attention because there's a story being told to me, whether it pertains to me or somebody in my family or what's going to happen next. And what the end result was, he wanted me to pay attention so that I would open myself up again
yeah.
because I was closed off for a while. So
Oh,
for a period of about 10 years, I was in a relationship that wasn't supportive of this. So I kind of had to hide it and diminish it. Also, too, in workplaces, when, especially being in HR, when you kind of know something is cropping up and you gently try to tell management and they're like, they're closed off to it. It's like, but I had to be closed off at work a little bit and closed off in my personal life. Anyway, when
yeah.
that relationship ended, I just thought, screw this. I'm just going to be who I am. And people don't like me. They don't like me. I don't care. That's what the message was. Open up, unblock yourself.
See, I love that because so I was the same as a child. So I tell everyone I've been a witch. I've been an in-closet witch since I was 14. Empress Sparkle, the reason it's called Empress Sparkle, which you most probably already know, lovely. My family are very anti what I do, very anti what I do. So I actually started out as a on TikTok, very hidden, a no face account. And then basically, as I grew on there, I decided, actually, I found a load of people that's gonna actually respect what I do. My husband does. He's always been supportive of what I do. Um, Even though to this day, if he's speaking to his mates, and I turn around and say to his mates, you know that phone call you're gonna get at 2 o'clock in the morning? And they'll look at me and go on then, what is it now? And I'll go, answer it. Don't ignore it, answer it. And they'll look at me and they'll go, like roll their eyes. And he's like, look, I don't get it. I don't understand her gift, but do what she says. He says, just do what she says. And sadly, the lad didn't answer it. And it turned out his mate unalived himself literally 10 minutes after the call,
Yeah.
sadly. Um, and Amp sits there and he's like, he says to me all the time, my husband, he's like, I don't understand it, but I respect it. He says, because I've seen it with my own eyes, what your gift can do. Whereas I had to hide it for so long. Like I pretended to be Christian for so long, pretended to be Christian. And then once everything was allowed out in the closet, I think it was October last year, I felt so much more empowered. So when I say that I had a breakdown around October, November last year, I don't think I actually had a breakdown as in the way I word it, as in,
No, you had to break through.
yeah. So it was like my energy was just so drained because I've got all these messages and all these symbols coming from above, to me, the Hellenic gods. And then I've also got this realization of I'm finally who I am, who I'm meant to be. And it's so strange when we have to cage ourselves. It's more draining.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And and part of me thinks that in having gone blind in one eye, part of that was the lesson for me to, you're not seeing because you don't want to see. So we're going to show you in a different way.
Yes.
My intuition's always been there. I always knew it was, but because I had to quash it down, or when I knew something was going to happen or something was coming or a message was sent to me, I was kind of like I didn't pay attention to it. And that's why my dad said to me, pay attention, pay attention.
Yes. And I think this is one of the things as well, because it's not even the fact we know our intuition's good, but we're told it's things like, especially HR, I can see this being used on you, especially HR. We're told things like, oh, you're just a body language expert. You just know that person too well. And you're like, how? I work with the person. I'm in an office. I used to sit in an office on my own for 45 hours a week. I was in an office on my own, didn't deal with the actual workers. And they would say to me, well, you knew they were going to mess up and stuff like that. And I go, how? I'm not down on the floor. How am I meant to know that they're not going to get the paperwork to me in time? How am I meant to know that? And it's like, and I says, I kept telling you that this was going to happen. And it was like I think it was like a 15K job. And they were like, well, at the end of the day, it's your fault. It's not been invoiced out. And I says, but I kept telling you they're not going to get the paperwork to me in time. They've not done the job correctly. It weren't the fact that I've been down on there and know the person. It's because I could see it was coming.
Yeah.
And they sort of gaslight you into thinking you're insane.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, they would.
Especially the top dogs, they
Yeah.
really do sort of, and and I think
Well,
that,
I think what it comes down to is they don't want to hear it from you because it's their own lack in themselves for not picking it up in the first place.
oh, I like that. I never thought about that. That could be very, very true. That
When
is
you
actually
when you do
truth.
that to somebody, when you give them that information, especially somebody that's egoic, it's a punch to their ego. I've had quite a few bosses like that, and I'm just like, I'm done. I'm, pardon my French, effing done.
I remember one boss, I literally was in the office with him and I said, by the way, when we get audited, we're gonna lose out on a lot of money. And he looked at me and said, what? And I went, we're gonna lose out on a lot of money. One, the auditor likes me that's coming in, fortunately. I got on really well with him. I says, but technically my boss is weird. Corporate world is weird, guys. You don't just have one boss, you have about four. So one of my bosses really hated me with a passion. And I said, she's gonna make the paper look bad. I said she's gonna come in about 5 o'clock in the morning, pull it all out, so I've not got a chance to go and sort it out and make sure everything's there. So where you've been telling me to put it through the way I've been putting it through, it's gonna come down on us.
Yeah,
And he literally went, no, 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 it's not. No, 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 it's not. It's all going to be fine. She did exactly what I told him she was going to do. She pulled out the ones exactly where she had told me to do stuff, which I said to her, but that's not right. That's not the way we're meant to be doing it. She done exactly what I told him she was going to do and cost the company 5K. And I went, you didn't listen to me. And he went, well, you're leaving anyway in a month because I'd handed my notice and I had enough of it. And I was like, hold on, that don't make a difference if I'm leaving in a month. I told you this is what's going to happen. But because I had affected both their egos and pointed out where they were going wrong, they just didn't like it. I never thought about that was the problem because I dared to question.
I could
uh,
feel like you can feel, of course, because you get a little bit blocked off because you're like, even though you know what's going to happen, you can't sense the other person's energy because you've got to sit in a state of being trying to be, you know, the neutral person, neutral party.
Yes.
But allow your intuition to come through because I could actually feel the anger from them.
Yeah.
Feel not just the anger, it's the fear of not knowing what was going on. And then me bringing it up, and that just like, it's like, oh, and I'm in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I just throat punch your ego?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's why, in a way, people like ourselves are, and I am going to use this term, so even though I don't believe in demon, I am going to use this term, demonize us
Yeah.
because we can pick out their faults. We can pick out, you know, I've got to be cautious what names I use. I don't think the names I'm choosing will get too much hate. Your Elon Musk, your Donald Trumps, your elite. We can look at them and go, like, there's some pop stars which are absolutely classed as perfectionism. And I can sit there going, you're a fan of them. I wouldn't even put their song on. And they look at me like, I like their song. Don't get me wrong, their song's catchy. But I'm like, they are the most horrible person inside because we can pick it up. And that is why these people which are in these top places demonize people like us because we see their true selves. I never actually even also thought of it in that way as well. If
Yeah, it's a punch to the ego.
yeah,
It's even when I've been recruiting, I have interviewed for specific jobs, and I can pick out the candidate that's going to be an absolute problem, even though they've answered all the right questions and they've laid
yeah,
it out and they've sugar coated themselves, and I can see through it. And I'll tell the hiring manager, I know this applicant scored a certain way because, for in human rights in Canada, in Ontario specifically, we have to abide by certain um, laws for fairness and equity. And I would say, I know this candidate scored high, but I'm telling you, I feel as if this is going to be a problem. They ignore that. All right, go ahead, hire them. And after the probation period, the problems start. And I'm like,
hey, sparklers, thank you so much for watching this video and supporting me. If you want to support me further, I do have a website, www.empresssparkle.co.uk. It is also linked down below, so if you want to check that out, that'd be awesome. It is one of the best ways you can support me is by purchasing items off my website, from jewelry to crystal bags to witch kits to witch supplies, energy cleansing, and even paranormal investigations. There is so much more, so much over there. So do go check that out. You just can feel it on them. Like, I know they're black energy. So I see souls in white, grey, and black. And black is your like narcissists and stuff like that. And I knew she was a
I
black
guess
energy, but
that's the same as seeing auras.
yeah, someone finally gets it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes. So I see them in the same form. So they'll either be dependent on protection, they'll either be all the way around the body. If someone's a bit too open, like, and I could do whatever I wanted to that person. That sounds really wrong, not in that way, but I mean spiritually. Or if they've got good protection, but it's not quite up to me, I'll see it just sort of like round the front area, sort of heart chakra especially. But if they've not, it's more of a feel. So if they've got major good protection and they're really withdrawn, it's more of a feel. Like I can feel it. Someone finally understands that. A lot of people do.
No, it's funny. But I think my father also saw auras
Oh
because I would
wow.
see him sitting there looking at somebody, just kind of like looking all around them. And I thought, why is he doing that? I'm probably the only one that noticed because I'm the weird child. But I asked him one day, I said, what do you see? He says, oh, sometimes, you see people's glow. Oh, I'm like,
Yes.
oh. I said, I didn't quite get what he got, but now I do. And he goes, sometimes when somebody's, green or if they're red, I'm like, they glow red. And I'm like, I didn't know what he was talking about. I did see a glow around them, but I wasn't seeing the colors the way he saw them. Like I would see a white, or sometimes I would see a gray. Sometimes I wouldn't see, it would be very diminished, but it would just be like a fine line around them.
So now that is the soul. So if you see it in white, grey, and black, that is the
Hmm.
soul that you're seeing. So
Okay.
it's so basically I explain it as our chakras are our emotions.
Yeah.
So our chakras are our emotions. Our soul is our everything. So it's everything in one. So the difference sort of like in between the chakras and stuff is obviously the chakras is more about the body. That's the way to word it. It's more about the body, more about our mindset, why we're here on this earth. Whereas our soul is more about our spiritual being, about going forth and stuff like that. And they come in three different shades because obviously you've got us, very few white beads, which we automatically repel the dark, such as light does, and stuff like that. Then you've got your grey. Now, your grey, I'll explain as this almost probably makes sense now. You almost probably go, that's why I'm seeing grey on a lot of people. So, grey, I find, is in different shades. So, you have what I call misty down to murky.
Yeah.
So, it comes in sort of a lot of different shades. And with the grey, some people could actually sometimes think the misty's white, but it's actually not. If you know what you're looking for, it's not, if that makes sense. Because what happens, I find, is they are sort of, I always say they would be your ladies in white. They would be the people stuck here full of guilt, full of remorse, full of pain, full of hate for themselves, full of not forgiving themselves. And then I'm sure you can understand black. Black are your shadow men stood in the corner
Oh, yeah.
that we ignore, we ignore them. So that might explain a lot now on what you've sort of been seeing then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I did wonder at the start when you said that you saw it grey and green. I've only ever spoke to Tammy as well, that actually sees the three different colours. So me and Tammy have now found a third person. It's like, wow, we've now found someone else that can see souls. But yeah, so that is what it is. We do see it in the same way you'd see auras. Um, sorry, I'm a bit flabbergasted that someone else can actually see them because for me, it's like there's so I only met Tammy through the podcast, funny enough, because I kept myself away from the spiritual world purely because of the fact of I didn't want my family to outcast me, basically. Um, so I met Tammy through the podcast, and now meeting someone else, it's just made me feel more sort of secure in what I'm seeing. It
Yep.
it's amazing. So I have to ask, so was when you were a child that you sort of started seeing the auras and that? Because I know for me, I've always seen them. Was it sort of as a child?
Yes. I've always seen them.
Oh,
Always. The colors and the aura, that came intermittently. And I couldn't figure out, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing this line around them. It's like a whitish, grayish line. But then periodically I would get a little burst of color, like maybe out the throat or up here or here. And I was like, so I actually, what I did was I went to a seminar unrelated to spiritualism, and I just sat there and I just observed people. And that's where I saw it started to grow because I opened it up, right?
yeah,
When I was practicing mediumship, the reverend that was working with me on mediumship to try to develop it a little so it was clearer voices,
yeah.
I looked at her and I thought, you're glowing gold. She's like, what? Yeah, she had this beautiful gold all around her. I'd never seen that before.
They are rare because that means they're emotionally perfect. They are
Well,
rare.
she's still, I'm in communication with her. She's wonderful. And she just said to me, she goes, you have to be open. She says, the reason why your mediumship isn't working as well as you wanted, she says, because you're afraid. And I said, yeah, I am, especially at night when if you're out with the girls and had a glass of wine or two, you're
Yeah,
relaxed, your ambitions are down, and then they're right in there like, hey, and you're like, leave me, let me go to sleep. Talk to me in the morning, but they don't come in the morning because I haven't learned to open it up quite as sometimes when I get into that meditative state with a client, I will get they'll all come through. Sometimes all at once, and I'm like, can you please line up one at a time type of thing.
that's what I need to do with these lot that are all here. I'm like, just line up
Yeah.
one at a time, which I know I will do during meditation. So once we've done here, I will be going into a meditative, I will be going into my REM and going, what do you all want? One at a time. But what do you want? You're doing me headed.
Yep. So
Um,
I learned to manage that part. So I'm quite a lot better now. One only comes in it, or maybe it's two or three that belong to the same person
yeah.
instead of 15 from different people. And I'm like, who's who here?
Yeah, because this is one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize as well. So one of the other things with my gifts, and I'm going to mention this because of fact I won't know whether you've got it. I can actually see the connections between souls. So when I'm actually in meditative state and I've got my eyes closed and I'm doing healing, I can actually see like black and white line, grey lines coming off them. And this is actually their connection to other people through souls.
I
Um,
don't I don't see that. I think I feel that more.
oh,
I get a
yeah,
feeling and a knowing.
yeah. So you may be
So
able to develop
yeah,
actually
like
seeing it.
a name will come through. Like I'll be meditating and doing like energy on a client, and an image will come through, and then a name, or maybe I feel like there's a feminine energy there, and I'll say, does this mean anything to you? And they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's my grandmother. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. There's a message coming. Let's just wait.
Yeah, because this is another thing. I'm loving this. And I'm like, I'm looking at the time. I hold my hands up and I'm like, we've got 5 minutes left, and I could actually talk to you for at least another hour, hour and a half.
I know.
Because for me, I'm loving this because obviously I've got so many bloody questions go through. I'm sure you can feel it. I'm like, so many questions rattling through my brain. I'm like, which one should be my last question? Um,
Well, we could always do this again another
Is that
time.
is that okay? I think we're gonna have to because my I'm
Absolutely.
literally rattling through my brain because for me it's like there's stuff that I want to tell you about our gift that I don't think you've yet developed. So I'm like, there's stuff now I want to tell you like about the soul connections and stuff, and actually that it shows us the past lives. So we actually still have our souls connected to people from our past lives and stuff as well. So I'm like, the stuff I so want to tell you, but at the same time I'm like, the time. Um, so I think what we'll do, because obviously I know you're very busy, bless you, Bonnie, as well, bless your heart. So I'm going to go to the statement if that's okay. And I'm definitely going to get Bonnie on again, guys, because this is like, I am just literally like, yeah. And I think I might actually give you my WhatsApp number so we can actually have a chat through WhatsApp if that's okay as
Of
well.
course. Of
Yeah,
course.
brilliant,
Yeah.
my lovely. So if you wouldn't mind giving your statement, please, for us, on whatever you want, really.
Well, when you had mentioned statement earlier, the one thing that came to me was the world is in a state of scarcity. So, with that, we're in a state of soul misalignment. And I kind of feel it every day from people that I'm speaking to, the clients I have. So, my message to people would be, if at all possible, get yourself out of that scarcity state, that scarcity mentality, that I don't have enough, that lack. Turn that around so that you can move into that reciprocity with people that will pull you out of that. Now, that said, I know that it's difficult to do that. Contact somebody that can help you realign your energies. Contact somebody that can work with you on that level. Because everybody's like, I talk to, they're like, oh my God, the world's in a state. I'm like, well, if you keep focusing on that, that you're going to bring more of it in. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, the realignment. Like I feel it. Everybody, it's like right here. It's in the heart, and it's in the solar plexus chakra. It's all tight there because everybody's so focused on what they don't have and the state of the world. So if we could all just take a breath and release it, or somehow find a way to work with somebody else to release it, I think that the collective energy would rise.
I love that, and I couldn't agree more. And I know my guys will be like, man, she sounds so much like Empress. I know they will be so much in the comments. I thank you so much. Honestly, this has been certainly enlightening to me to find one, someone else that can see souls. Um, and two, it's been enlightening as in the fact of finding someone that's actually had a supportive parent. So I absolutely adore your dad. Every time I mention him or you mention him, chills. And it's also been great with the job side, I think, for a lot of people who are confused on their career. So understanding that they need to find their purpose rather than actually just living day to day. I absolutely have loved this. We will definitely have you on again, my lovely. Guys, Bonnie's details are down in the comments, down in the description. And as I always say to you guys, I may not be the healer for you. And especially if it's career you're stuck on, I definitely am not. As you know, I concentrate on trauma. So do check out Bonnie's link. Do pop over to our website and check her out. And thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget, keep sparkling.